Welcome back to Talking Trek. I am one of your co-hosts, Captain of the good ship, Talking Trek, Dan Kostelik. I am very pleased to be here. Brian is off tonight. He had to go off and do his real job and stuff. But we are going to be here for a while with one of my most favorite people in the world. He loves arguing with me, sometimes against me, but more often he just agrees with me in entirely original ways. It is the captain of the USS Crossford, Mr. Jim Teesdale. Peace and long life to you, sir. How are you?
Live long and prosper, good sir. And yes, the reason we like to argue is because someone likes to, break the Prime Directive. But we're not going to get into that today. We have another subject to talk about.
Am I breaking the Prime Directive, or am I just living life awesome?
I would talk to your alter ego Shakespeare, because he's just going all over the timeline. I'm just saying.
You know what? I'm going to say, following the policies of this year of 2020, where everybody everywhere is like, time doesn't matter. Is it May or is it Thursday? And the answer is it's Thursday right now. Time no longer matters. Shakespeare can do whatever he wants with the timeline. It's fine. It's fine. Definitely. It's fine. No one cares. No one cares. They're just like, you know what, Shakespeare, you do you. If that means you got to get an iPhone, that's great. But we're talking Picard today, and in honor of that, I have on my Picard Starfleet badge. I don't have a USS Serena, but I'm sorry, it's not a USS. I don't have a La Serena badge, but I do have a Starfleet badge for Picard, so that makes me happy.
I am actually wearing my badge that was given to me when I picked up Star Trek Online, the very first copy deluxe back in 2010.
Oh wow, that is pretty. I like that. That's a fun, weird take on it. That's neat. An arc within the arc, so it makes the delta even smaller. And you're wearing your Wrath of Khan movie era. Captain's bars there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're gonna need to get another one for your. You're gonna need to get another one, smaller one for your cuff down here.
Very true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So we're talking Star Trek Picard. What are your just broad strokes? What are your thoughts?
I liked. There's a lot of good hints, not hints, but like Easter eggs that they did for Next Generation fans, which I love throughout the entire series. Little nods. I love certain takes on the uniforms, but I definitely have to agree more than anything is that the take that they did with this was a new path, but it gave us Next Generation fans something to go off of. And then anybody that had never seen it before, they can hop into the show and not have to worry about feeling left out the entire time. I've heard multiple reviews where it's like they've actually had people that have never seen it before actually get into the show and then enjoy it just for that. So that's kind of where I like shows that do that, where it's like, if you're a longtime fan, we got something for you. But if you're a new fan, don't worry. We're going to establish a nice story arc for you.
Oh, very good. All right. I take overall some issue with it. And because you had your captain of the USS Crossford, I'm going to need to throw up mine. I'm captain of the good ship Talking Trek. So I'm not sure if we get a USS. I think because we can be a little bit snarky about it. Starfleet is just like, hey guys, we're not going to quite acknowledge you here. It's just like you're over there on the edges. But my overall thought is, it felt like it was a less of a first season and more of a season opener, more of a series opener that. The producers of the show, Kurtzman and Michael Chabon, and others, went so far to say that season 1 should be treated as a 10-hour movie. And if that's the case, then it was a fantastic pilot episode. It was 10 it was 10 pretty good hours of a pilot, and then beyond that, we needed a bit more in order to fully go in, because then it's just a really long movie of the week.
I mean, and I can agree on that because the way that it ended, I mean, it's like it kind of just basically goes like, by the way, and it ended kind of in a movie fashion. It's like, hey, by the way, we've ended this part of this chapter. However, now there's open possibilities for everything else that's going on. There's
Yeah.
just so much to investigate on what happened to him, and then even with like, I mean, are we talking spoilers at all, or how are we doing this?
All the spoilers. If they haven't watched it, that's
Okay.
their fault.
Okay,
All
so
right.
like even when they're like you're talking about how he finally let Data go, and they had that glorious like release scene of Data's positronic matrix and everything. You look at that and you're like, wow, this is a nice way to close a chapter but begin a brand new one, because now we got to figure out what it's like with Picard, with all the new stuff with him becoming a sentient android, becoming a synth.
Yeah, I feel that that all of that was a mistake.
Really?
I feel that the way they wrote the introduction of Sung, and how and how Brent Spiner was playing it for a little while is kind of arch. It's like, is this lore but in a now aging synthetic body? Is this somehow Data, and Data's become snarky? It's just like, all right, great. But then here's the as they were calling it, the Golem body. I feel that was a missed opportunity to bring Brent Spiner into the show full time as Data without having to get into the very uncomfortable Data makeup and acknowledge that he's aging. He's 70 years old. It's like, hey, I'm not trying to pretend I'm an ageless android anymore. I'm not late 30s, 40s, 50. I'm 70 years old. I'm looking like I look like a good 70. He's a very good 70.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, yeah, he doesn't look like a kid. He doesn't look like a man in the prime of his life. He looks like a guy who's aging, and that would have been a great way to have Data, in my opinion, most beloved character over the last 30 years, back in the show full time, and not having to worry about any of the makeup. And then you could still do things like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I'm totally super strong. Data, can you break this door open? Yeah, totally. Boom. But he will decay and die. And I thought that was good. I thought the death scene for Data was beautifully done, but that it wasn't needed. And or like save that for several years from now, because they're like they've long said they see this show going anywhere from 3 to 5 seasons. Have Data become almost like the computer for the La Sirena or for the Enterprise or just whatever. He's in Picard's pocket constantly. And one episode a season, we see Brent Spiner agrees to get into the makeup, and you see Data. All right, neat. But otherwise, he's just this voice, and so he can just come in, be the voice of the computer all the time, and do it that way. I felt that would have been a more fun way to go.
See, now, with the way that it leaves it open, it's like, all right, so the core consciousness of Data's gone, but who knows what, like, if they had any extra memories. I mean, it's Sun. So, I mean, Sun is, and any version of, like, I mean, besides his original father, but, like, these alter egos and lore and stuff like that, there's always something in that back pocket of theirs.
Well, we saw B4 in the cabinet at the Daystrom Institute, which means there is a back door for Data to come back in. But as Susan Hill very cleverly says, do we even know that Brent Spiner would want the role?
Thank you. That's another thing I was going to bring up too.
Maybe he doesn't, but at the same point, why would he say no to that sweet PBS? Yeah, PBS. Sweet Paramount money.
Funded by patrons like you.
Can you imagine how even more of a thinking show Star Trek would be if it was a PBS show?
Today's word is phaser. P-H-A-S-E-R. Phaser.
Treat it like, oh my gosh, that's what they can do with the. That's what they can do with one of the animated shows. Treat it like Dora. We're about to engage the Borg. Can you say engage?
We're about to go on an away mission. Can you say away? Or even better, it's like this. Where is my away team?
And then
there you are, Riker. Yeah.
Riker, why are you standing with your foot up on everything all the time? Just draw Riker in that pose all the time. It's like, do you actually move your legs? Nope. I do not.
God.
Oh, that was a missed opportunity in the episode with Riker and Troy of just having Riker put his foot up on everything. It's like, come on, do it. I'm waiting for it.
I was very happy with the Riker lean in the chair, and we all know it's because of Frakes' back issues. But it's like him sitting there, and then the one thing that I had to say I loved was like when he was sitting in that chair, I got misty-eyed because he was sitting there taking control, and then the acting's always good with him, but that right there was like that was core freaking Riker. That was like, I want to do nothing but blow you out of the freaking sky. You betrayed Starfleet. You Romulan piece of crap. And I'm sitting there like, ooh. I didn't like the uniform, though. Uniforms, those uniforms, I was like,
I'm not in love with the Picard era Starfleet uniforms. I liked his Admiral uniform. His Admiral uniform, I liked. But that was also 15 years before that. So that I was digging. And it's like, they created 2 new versions of Starfleet uniforms. The current version, I'm like, I'm sorry, this kind of sucks.
Well, I mean, where the pip placement is, it feels kind of lazy. And I mean, even when you saw it moving around, it honestly, like, that was one of the costuming things I wasn't a fan of, because it's like, we're doing the shoulder thing. Okay, so you're evolving the jumpsuit that happened when DS9 kicked off. Mm-hmm. So you're evolving that, and then instead of having the pips on the collar like it's always been, you put it right here on the side, which kind of reminds you of the dress uniform days of TNG. So you're looking at it, but they were just hanging on there. Like, I know Chris was only doing it for like 1 episode, but it's like you could have put a little more effort into like that one. I mean, the more effort was put into the 15 years after Admiral's uniform, and I love that one. I wish they had like both versions of Admiral's uniforms, Picard's Admiral uniform, and then the Admiral uniforms in the modern period in 2399. Those were both solid, and in both cases, some of the other than in the Wrath of Khan era, the first Admiral uniforms I've actually liked. Yeah, I didn't like any of them. The Deep Space Nine Admiral's duty uniforms, which was the same thing as like the standard. Once the movies and Deep Space Nine and Voyager were all happening simultaneously. The black jumpsuit with the gray shoulders. That uniform I thought was a better jumpsuit, and in fact, I think it was actually a two-piecer. It was a jacket and pants separate. But that worked better, and then having the Admiral, like the stripe down the middle, and then they got a fun Starfleet belt. I liked that a lot. But yeah, no, I'm not in love with the uniforms. But since it's not really a Starfleet story, at least season 1 is not, I thought that was cool. I've heard a lot of complaints that so much of the first half of season 1 takes place on Earth. But I was cool with that, because one of the complaints of Star Trek is you never really see what the Federation itself is like. Oh, yeah. You get glimpses of Earth and Risa occasionally, so the big vacation world. And by the way, how can an entire world be set aside for vacations? But I mean, I'm not going to complain. I mean, Risa was the hot spot, man.
Yeah, Risa's great. It's where everybody.
I mean, Worf even got it in. I'm just saying.
Do we have to go? I mean, it's Star Trek. I guess we do, but but you never really see what the Federation is like. Only in a few instances, you see, you hear what the Federation is supposed to be like from the point of view of Starfleet and some of the best and brightest in Starfleet. So from Jim Kirk and Jean-Luc Picard and Benjamin Sisko. But you don't. And I'm sorry, I'm having lighting issues here. I apologize. Could you hit that switch right there? Thanks. My much more talented spouse is hitting an extra light for me so I can get some front light. There we go.
Ta-da.
Susan Hill is offering a wonderful headcanon reason for why an entire planet can be like a vacation planet. She's saying it depends on how big a planet is, how much of it is made habitable by the weather control system. All right.
That's very true. Yep.
Fine, Susan. But like you have like Desert World, and Star Wars does the same thing. This is the casino planet. This is the desert planet. It's just like the only one that ever has any real internal ecosystems and changes and different languages and cultures on the same planet is Earth. It's just like all Vulcans have the same haircut. All Romulans are shifty. And it's just like all Klingons have honor. It's like it's only the humans have microcultures. Everybody else is homogenous macrocultures. And I understand it's to show the Federation as the United States and everybody else has their own cultures, but it's lazy writing. It really is, especially when you move forward through time. But I liked seeing modern Earth. I liked seeing all of that. I thought that was really cool.
I actually thought it was really cool was that when like again being on Earth, one, you saw the teleportation, like little gateways and stuff like that. So people were just like on Earth teleporting, which I think was I think that's awesome. And then you also have I loved it when Jean-Luc went and grabbed his old badge, the last one he had, and then he goes like, "Don't hang up the badge." I'm like, wait, like you're saying it like it's a cell phone almost too. It's like.
But to an
hilarious.
But I thought it was a great moment. I've heard some people complain about it of don't hang up. It's like, would people still say don't hang up? Yes, because on a cell phone, you're not hanging up. You are not like hang up comes from the first telephones when they were on the wall and you hit the crank and you had the little receiver and you're like, hello, can I get Mercury 149? Thank you. You're doing that. That's where hang up comes from because you're literally hanging up the receiver. I thought that was great. It's like, of course, people would still say hang up because it's one of those things that have just entered common vernacular of here's what it means. We all know what it means. We don't have anything else that says, oh, this is better. And
I mean, honestly, she could have just been like, did it? And then just literally like it would have gone off and she could have clicked it again. And there you go. There's the hang up right there.
Yep. Beep, beep. Nope. But I like that. Susan says a thing that also happens in Star Trek a lot. Everyone wears the same style of clothes. It drives her batty. Yeah, and I thought they did a very good job on Picard of many different types of clothing styles. Everybody had their own thing, even up to the ridiculousness of the casino planet. That was insane. That was fun, turned bizarrely tragic, but I felt like that. You're going to bring Seven and have her into the story at that point, and then have this woman who was a major part of Seven of Nine's life. You need to really develop that.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And I felt they did a huge disservice to Seven of Nine particularly, but also to the Borg and also to Hugh particularly. It's like
I did not like the fact that they did that to him. So
it's like you're going to kill Hugh off. You got to have it mean something. Basically, they pulled a Tasha Yar on him.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Again, that's what I'm talking about, like the Easter eggs. It's like if you remember Hugh when he was in his complete Borg form back in TNG, it's like wow, that like what they've done with him in like evolving what his character looks like and everything. But it's like. Yeah, and it's the thing that I kind of agree, like, especially when I watched an episode of The Ready Room where they said, like, the Borgs right now, it's like they're victims. Like, no one's ever said they wanted to wake up in the morning and go, like, hey, I feel like being assimilated today. It's like, and here we have, everyone still fearing, like, as it is, but, like, they're trying to rehabilitate them.
Yeah, and the first time that was said that the Borg are victims was in the episode I, Borg, which featured Hugh, where Hugh was introduced. That was the first time the concept of the Borg as victims, or rather individual Borg as victims, because hardly any of them are born a Borg.
Exactly. Yeah, they all get assimilated in. And it was the same thing when you go back to when Jean-Luc was Locutus. It's like he just looked at every last one of them. I was going like this, you will be assimilated. Like when you're talking about he basically looked at everybody. He looked at Worf up and down with like no fear. And so like this, Klingon, warrior species, you too will be assimilated into the collective.
I like my species the way it is. That was a great moment in Best of Both Worlds Part 2. Great.
Yeah, man.
So absolutely. Susan, again, Susan's our main person commenting right now. We only have a couple of people watching with us live, but that's cool. We're going to get a lot of viewers later, and everybody chime in with your thoughts because I'd love to come back and talk with you in the comments later on. She says, were they trying to use it to prompt Seven? She seemed upset that Hugh died, even though we don't see much of the relationship. I'm going to say, yeah, because they obviously also knew each other, Hugh and Seven. But it was poor character development either way. If Hugh's death was a catalyst for 7 of 9, then they need to show that. But it was crap character development. They bring an ex-Borg cube, which is turned into a science center and outpost for Romulans in neutral space. They bring that in. Great, this is amazing. What do they do with it? Nothing. They did nothing with it. They killed, I don't know, a bunch of XBs, or possibly still active Borg who are just in stasis by spacing them all. But especially if they all had their Borg implants, the Borg don't care if they're in space.
Yeah,
we've seen that several times, like in Star Trek First Contact. They're just walking on the surface of the on the hull of the Enterprise. They didn't care. They're like, whatever.
But the great, and again, going back to Michael Dorn and one of the greatest one-liners in movie history: "Assimilate this."
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was cool. And of course, Worf is going to physical hand-to-hand combat because it's the one thing the Borg can't shield against.
Yeah,
it's like they can only. They'll fight you, and they have enhanced cybernetic strength, and they have all those terrible knives and whirring blades and all that. But yeah, they're just gonna have to fight you if you take away all phaser plasma weapons. But yeah, I feel that the Borg were misused. I feel that they.
I agree,
yeah,
but I mean,
go ahead.
But if you think about it, the entire story arc though is that it then goes back to one of the, and I hate to say it, it's a classic trope, but it's like it's the Romulans again. You know, you thought they were all cool. Now, granted, there's still a few of them that were showed, like Picard's, the people that worked for Picard at the chateau, but it was like that story arc again. It's like this: hey, we have someone in Starfleet that's a Romulan. Oh, by the way, they're evil. Go figure. Oh, and hey, we have someone that did an alteration of their body, which, I mean, granted, a good chunk of, we've had our own, Enterprise crew also body alter themselves to sneak into the Romulans. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing this little cross connection of little things, it's like, oh, hey, you did it to us, now we're going to do it to you. And by the way, I have a spy, banging the other synth twin sister to keep her under wraps right now. So it's like, okay.
I felt having the Romulan spy in Starfleet, because they have done it before in Next Generation, or as a Vulcan ambassador. I felt that was also, again, lazy writing. I felt it would be much more interesting, especially with the relationship of Picard specifically with the Romulans, to have not just some of his Romulan friends, which we met, including, I can't remember the kid's name, but his Romulan space elf, his Romulan Legolas, who is incredibly emotional. We need to see, because it's 15, 20 years later, have a Romulan or two actively in Starfleet. Like, they haven't, and not like, they were defectors or their parents were defectors or something, but just, nope, I'm a Romulan, I wanted to join Starfleet.
And I would love to see something like that, because it's like, look, you had the same thing happen with Worf, as he was the only Klingon. And even if you go back to the books that came out when he was in Starfleet Academy, he went through so much crap, coming up in the Starfleet ranks to get to where he was at.
Yeah.
It's like, that would have been an awesome little story arc too, of what would it be like for one of the most hated races out there to like have a couple people that are like, you know what? F it. I believe in Starfleet and I want to be in Starfleet.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
I think that would have been a far more compelling thing, and then have them go toe to toe with the Romulans. But then, like towards the end of the season, it just became a lot of throw everything, and so hundreds of warbirds attacking one, not even a planet, one small little community on a planet. It's like, I'm sorry, one starship can really wipe out much of a planet.
And
We've seen it happen.
And then
the USS copy pastes of all the but
that to me, like I looked at that and I'm like, wow, you got, I mean, this is definitely first season budget right here, because not one of you could have like snuck in like a Galaxy class or like, you know, a Sovereign
it's all
class
digital.
like that.
It's all
like,
digital. Just put in whatever you want. It's
honestly,
like,
you know where the budget went? All towards the Enterprise D at the very beginning of the series.
And it was beautiful. And
oh yeah,
the big D, I have it right here. Bum, 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 bum. Yep, the die-cast metal Enterprise D from 1987, my friends. Here we go. Oh yeah,
one of those.
I got this at a flea market last year for $15 in the packaging. So yes, I opened the package. I'm a bad person. I opened the package. I play with it all the time, but that also means I'm not like, oh, it's going to increase in value. It's like, no, I play with my toys. I play with my toys, people.
I used to have tricorder, phaser. Like I wanted one of the comm badges that actually did the sound effect, that type of a deal. Like,
yeah, the one that lit up, that gigantic one that lit up. Yeah, that was amazing.
You know,
I was so angry that it lit up. I was so angry that it lit up.
Well, I'll be honest with you. The one thing
12-year-old me hated it.
Hang on a second, get a little frisky with my camera here. The one thing that I love that came from Star Trek in general is look at this lovely little technology that we have right here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, seriously, it's like we went through an entire, like they like you would have them going like this, and now as we're talking about Star Trek, here's technology that was probably was obviously inspired by Star Trek. Like, oh hey, I want a computer all on here, and guess what? You can do all that and more. But the thing I love even more about this is that they've revamped Star Trek. They've also revamped the tech to also reflect our technology advancements. Like when I would watch the I guess they call it the Kelvin line, right? Where
the JJ verse.
The JJ verse. So with the JJ verse, it's like you're looking at it like here's these touch screens on the pads and everything like that. You got some switch action, and even with Discovery, it's like the same thing. Like, you know, it's still switches and everything, but you also have touchscreen involved too. I'm like, oh god, I love it, I love it, I love it.
Susan Hill has a very good question going into the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager era. She says, "Well, that's one book. Where are your other pads? Because we've seen all the captains having stacks." And it's just like, it makes sense. And it makes sense to one extent of like someone's physically bringing a report to the captain of like, hey, captain, here you go. Boom. But like what they should have done, and what I feel like they should have started anticipating, because email was a thing. Maybe not like frequent at the beginning of Next Generation, but by the end, email is a thing. And it's just like, oh, captain, I have that report. Sent. Oh, thank you. And bring it up on their little little laptop looking desktop computer that all the captains had, or on their own pad. Oh, very good. And so that would have been great. But just all the pads. I think that's something that they should do in Discovery, of just like have the collections of pads on Saru or Michael Burnham's desk or something. I think that'd be great.
I would love to see that. And then next thing you know, they have like a bookshelf, but it's all little mini pads, like all.
It's just like, wouldn't it be just better to just transfer the stuff? It's like, yeah, but I don't want to lose my original. It's like, it's digital. It's digital. What do you get?
They got a movie of the right stuff, and it's still actually the width of 2 video cassettes.
No, man, that'd be amazing. Oh, goodness gracious. But like, I mean, you can retcon the reasoning if you want to, of like, oh, of course, it's far more advanced, and oh, people just physically handing Picard reports, and like when he's done, he could just like and delete. All right, cool. Here you go. Download transfer everything or download everything over to his own panel because you can. And it's like they're like transfer controls to this panel. Cool. Boop. Data has everything at one panel. Is always able to do that. So we know it can be done. It's just funny. But another thing we love about Star Trek is how we are talking right now to each other.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we can't make perfect eye contact because the camera isn't behind the screen. I mean, yeah, we can make it weird, but like in order to make eye contact with you, I have to look at the small black dot with the green light next to it, letting you know that it's active.
Yeah,
but
I'm also playing Careless Whisper in my head right now too as I'm looking at you.
Oh man, how would that sound if Riker started playing it on the trombone though? It'd be weird.
Deanna, why don't you join me for dinner right here?
Oh goodness. Oh, Jacqueline Dwyer was saying we were getting too close. All right.
Are we too close? Are we, Jacqueline?
So, more things that we liked about the show. I liked them dealing with Picard's Irumodic syndrome. Yeah. I don't like the fix. I thought I thought it was going to be a several season arc of him dealing with this and potentially fix it. Beverly comes in. Beverly, by the way, should have been the one to give him the news, not the doctor from the Stargazer, which I'm assuming was Carter Greyhorse. I don't know for sure.
See, my whole thing is like they utilize, and I remember when I was seeing an interview with Patrick, and it was Brent talking about, and this was during the Ready Room. It was an interview with Will Wheaton, and he was talking about how, Patrick brought everyone to dinner, and they started talking about Star Trek Picard, and he was basically saying I will not be doing the show's happening, but we're not doing it full TNG cast. And then there was only a couple of people that they brought onto this. And honestly, I mean, now granted, here's the thing. Again, Dan, it's like they left the door open. We could get Beverly in the next season if Gates wants to do it.
And she said she does.
Right. So I mean, it's the same thing with LeVar and Michael. I would love to see these other people, since they opened the door for past members to come in, to start fitting in there. And that's the one thing I did like is it wasn't an overload of hey, it's a next generation reunion. It's where it fit, it's where it fit in the story to to do this. And bringing in Jerry Ryan for 7 of 9, that was a little out of place, but
yeah. And it's just and I like, of course, there's billions and trillions of people to bring in, but have more of the drop-ins from the other shows. Have Jake Sisko be there. If they're when they were at Starfleet, see the statue to Captain Nog. Now, granted, maybe not because Aaron Eisenberg died, I think, while they were making the show. So they might not have been able to do that, but incorporate stuff along those lines. But have Geordi be there. Why is Picard mourning Data so hard? Geordi's his best friend. So maybe you can't have LeVar Burton in every episode or even most of the episodes, but you could have had him there at the android homeworld. I feel weird calling them synthetics or synths.
Yeah,
I know, but have Geordi there to say goodbye to Data.
Well, I think now this is the thing. It's I think the best way to bring Geordi in would have been it would have had to have been a conversation at the chateau. It's it could have been maybe even after the synths attacked Mars, and Picard and Geordi could have been sitting there going, what do you think went wrong? Why did this happen? We know Data was never like this, blah, blah, blah. And they could have been going through the whole rhyme and reason behind it, because we know for a fact, obviously, anybody that was part of the bridge crew of the Enterprise is pro synth, Yeah. It's they're sitting there going we worked with a synth, we've seen synths with emotions. Even our synth had emotion.
He just didn't. Data
Yeah.
just refused. Data was like, no, I wasn't programmed with him. I don't have the chip. I don't have emotions. And it's like, Data, you have better emotions than most people. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
And he was evolving, and but Susan says, is it about Picard mourning Data or Picard blaming himself for his death? I'm going to say probably the latter, but still have Geordi there. You're going to be talking about, you need to be talking about positronic brains and Bruce Maddox. Who knows more other than Bruce Maddox than Geordi LaForge and to another extent, Dr. Beverly Crusher. There are great ways to have them in. And then if you're talking about synthetic positronic brains and Picard's Aromatic syndrome, who knows more on a personal level than Dr. Beverly Crusher?
Yeah,
I just said her name wrong. Beverly. Beverly. It's just like, come on, guys. And you don't need to make a meal out of it. It could be like they're coming in for part of an episode. Cool. And just like, and not like, oh my God, Beverly, what are you doing here? You treat it like I see you all the time. You're either my wife or my ex-wife, or we've just went back to that whole we're just friends thing that they had for umpteen years on the Enterprise D. I would love to see them actually together, but I don't know. But
or I mean, we could really headcanon this. You know how you really tie it all together? You just put Barclay in because he links everything together.
Reg Barkley.
Reg,
where are you? We need you. We need you, Mr. Broccoli.
Look, you brought Voyager back. You've done all this other stuff. I mean, yeah, granted, you took over the Enterprise with your weird brain thingy, but I mean, Reg, come on, man. Where were you?
That was cool. I mean, but like we had the drop-ins from other shows. You had on the Casino Planet, Quark's Bar. You had Mr. Motts, and it was just fun little like toss-asides, but you could have that. It's like, what is Geordi doing? We know anecdotally Worf is captain of the Enterprise. Okay. Why wasn't they're sending 1,000 ships or whatever to defend the android planet? Why is the Enterprise not? Yeah. And acting Captain Will Riker, just be like, you know what? Will Riker, USS Titan, make it his old ship. Just for S&Gs, just for me. Thank you. And it was just the Discovery set redressed a little bit. I understand you only have one real active Starfleet Starship bridge going, but in order to make the USS copy paste actually work, if you're going to do that, the thing that Agnes did with the La Sirena, do that instead of with the La Sirena with all the Starfleet ships. And Riker and Riker, it's like, there's a lot of ships coming in. Riker mutes the comms. Where are they all from? It's like, we don't know. All right, cool. We're just gonna pretend they're with us. All right. Anyway, it's just like Riker plays poker. Riker bluffs after the Romulans leave. It's just like, and then the other ships disappear. So what happened there? Oh yeah, we have a toy. It works on imagination. Neat. I mean, like.
That'd be great. It's like this computer end program, and all the ships just disappear because it is a copy paste.
Yeah, it's the USS copy paste. But then like there's one other ship, and it's Worf on the Enterprise. It's like Worf, and then call back because Riker's ship is like he has the most advanced fighting ship in the fleet now, and it's just like, and Worf's on the Enterprise, which is now it would be a 20-year-old ship. He's like, tough little ship you got there. And Worf can just repeat the line from First Contact. Little. But it's the Enterprise, and it's great. And then you have a Galaxy class because there's still a couple of them around. Like you have the USS Challenger there, just hanging out. It's just like, yeah. It's like it's not the Enterprise D, but it looks like her, and that's good enough.
And the thing is, though, too, it's like with the copy paste thing, I'm like sitting there going, like, you're basing everything off of the Navy. So I mean, your rank structure was based off the Navy. Like even when they started acknowledging Chief O'Brien as a chief, his pitch changed from that open.
So they went to the stripes,
right? And then, but actually, Dan, that was based off of the Master Chief or Chief logo from the Navy. So they were actually using the chevron and circle that was on there. So I'm going like, thank God they're treating him like the enlisted man that he is.
Well, because
you know?
for the longest time on Next Generation, and for a bit on Deep Space Nine, his rank kept going up and down and up and down, because it's like, like we call him chief. Is that just his job title? Like he is the transporter chief. So this is his department that he's involved with. Like Geordi is chief engineer. And like, oh, where's our chief botanist, chief medical officer? Okay, cool. So it's a title, or is it a rank? And it's like in the beta canon, we had always had an enlisted personnel. Yeah. But we'd never actually seen the rank. Yeah. We'd never actually referred to them by ranks. And then you finally get it, and it's like, all right, cool. But yeah, O'Brien's ever-changing rank, it like went up at one point to full lieutenant, but then back down to the ensign's pip. But it was black inside, so it's like you're half of an ensign. Like,
well, and then that's what I was thinking. I'm like, so to me, especially coming from, like with the Navy background, that's almost like warrant officer. So I'm like, is he a warrant officer now?
Exactly, which would make sense. It's like, okay, cool.
And Data was called captain when he was a lieutenant commander, because in the Navy, the ship that you were commanding makes you the captain of the ship. Does not matter the rank at the time, but you are the captain. Same thing with the XO and stuff like that. So I'm sitting there like, and especially, and this is where I wanted to come full circle on this. If we're talking 20 years later and the Sovereign class USS Enterprise has not been blown up, because normally they do blow up Enterprises.
Yeah, we like to blow up Enterprises at the 20 to 25 year mark, or in the case of the D, it's like 7.5 years old. It's just like, come on.
So, but needless to say, it's like you look at it like like if a Sovereign is kind of like the aircraft carrier of Starfleet, then an aircraft carrier has about a 25 to 30 year like life cycle,
or more. We have some that are very old.
Well, actually, they have cycled out of everything, and they're now digging into the Nimitz class and cycling them out. So Nimitz is actually next up, but the next ship that is coming out is CVN 80, and that is the USS Enterprise.
I'm excited.
USS Enterprise is about to come back into the Navy fleet again.
My uncle, 30 years ago served on the last Enterprise.
Wow, that's actually really cool.
He served on the Enterprise, and he served on the Kitty Hawk.
Yeah, I was. My ship was George Washington was the first one, and that was CVN 73. And then after that, it was the USS Wasp, LHD 1. So I was actually on the Wasp class ship of LHD. So like that's how they get like the namesake and stuff like that. So now, granted, the Wasp was definitely a first year ship, kind of like a first year car, a lot of issues. But
still, which they should have done more with on Voyager, honestly. But we can get into that. Like, why doesn't anything? They did it in Star Trek V, which was fun. Why doesn't anything on this ship work? It's like, oh, so true to life and accurate, but such a bad movie. Oh, Shatner. Never let William Shatner be in charge of anything. But as we should start wrapping up here. Any final thoughts?
I will, like I said, I enjoyed Picard. I enjoyed the series. I like what CBS is doing with the new series, with the new take, especially after we had the run of the J.J. Abrams verse, like kind of like going back. I am so stoked for the new one coming out with Christopher Pike. So,
Strange New World, absolutely.
Strange New World. That is, I mean, I honestly, and it could be another show, but like Discovery season 2 was my favorite personally. But that was it was like, here we go. We have you have like the guy playing Pike was just on point, and Pike never looked so good before, to me. But Strange New Worlds is coming up, and I'm stoked for that. Picard was fantastic. I can't wait to see what they do with season 2 after we get out of this quarantine weirdness that we're in right now.
Coronapocalypse.
So, but hey, dude, and honestly, Dan, this has been ecstatic. I love the fact that we've been able to like just geek on this. It's been a long time since I've been able to have like a nice discussion about a passion of mine, and I haven't been the hardest cores of Trekkies for a while, but like, the new seasons and stuff like that got me all interested again. So I'm pretty stoked. So
Well, Jim, you are welcome back. You are welcome back at any time. I keep showing my other screen. You are welcome back at any time. And especially whenever Brian needs to like work out his real job, you are welcome to come back in and just geek out with me, and we'll have a fun time. Absolutely. Jim Teesdale is a Julie Award-winning actor in New Jersey. Go check him out. Give his Facebook page some likes. When I saw it an hour ago, he is at like 318. He needs a lot more people. He needs more. So give Jim some likes. He has appeared most recently, as far as I know, with me in my other life as Shakespeare on in Midsummer Night's Dream, a gay old time. Jim is fantastic. Hire him, somebody. Yo, there you go. He was Demetrius. But hire him, somebody. Star Trek writers, hire us. We'll fix everything for you. We'll make it all amazing. That's what we'll do. We'll be like, was anybody watching the original show? We'll be the voice of that guy from Galaxy Quest.
Well, even better. Like we could also do the plan that I had originally had when I wanted to come on and say we were going to be, instead of talking about Star Trek Picard, it's Star Trek Con, and I had the Mirrorverse mustache goatee going.
See, there you go. Which, by the way, missed opportunity. Discovery season 1. More of the Mirror Universe people should have had goatees.
Yes.
Like they did it with Sarek. Like exactly. They did it with Sarek, which was a great callback to Spock for the original series. But they should have done it with Stamets. They should have done it with any of the main human male figures or people that can grow facial hair. So and then seeing Vogue, like Mirror Universe Vogue should have had a goatee. Just like, and it's like, yeah, let's do this. Let's lean in hardcore to that.
Anthony Rapp with a goatee, that'd be interesting.
I bet he would look awesome.
He'd rock it. I mean, but I'm like, he's always been so clean faced, like, Rent and everything. I'm like,
But then Dr. Culper in our prime timeline has a goatee. And it's like, okay, Dr. Culper, I see what you're doing here. Mirror Universe infiltrator. No, but it's cool. Also, by the way, in that case, Jason Isaac should have had a goatee. Yeah, just to be like, give it away right away. Be like, he's the Mirror Universe as soon as he comes in. But then you see a few other people with rocking facial hair. It's like, oh, right. Not everybody who has facial hair is evil. It's just like, no. It's just the goatee. But Jim Teesdale, award-winning actor here on our show as my guest host. Don't know if Brian will be back next week, but we're going to put up another poll. What should we talk about next time? That poll is going to be over on our Twitter page. So at talking_Trek. Follow us over there, and on Facebook, Talking Trek Podcast. And if you have ideas, send us messages there or email us talkingtrekpod@gmail.com. Jim, thanks for being on here today.
Thank you.
Peace and long life, my friend.
Live long and prosper, good sir.
All right. And everybody, we will see you again next week. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy, and always live long and prosper. Bye-bye.